Hello and welcome to another bright morning on Enterprise Television. I am Kende Boderan.
And I am Henry Igwebike.
As usual, we are delighted to start the day with you. As always, we begin with a quick look at today's newspaper headlines before diving into the main conversation of the day. Trust me, you don't want to miss a moment with us. You can join the conversation by liking, following us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. You can also share. So joining us this morning is Emeka Madunagu. He is a distinguished journalist and a public affairs analyst who, will be sharing experts' insights on the issues we have before us. You're welcome, sir.
Good morning, Emeka.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So very much.
So, Henry, we would start with the Guardian
Okay.
as our first newspaper
So what's happening there?
story. So on the big story here, we have anxiety, mistrust, cloud Nigeria's tax reform promises, benefits.
Yes, and also we have on the top strip of the same newspaper, Trump, that is Donald J. Trump, places Nigeria 14 orders as partial restriction to U.S.
Beside that, we have gas issues, 6 trillion naira debt cripple power generation as discourse record lower load profiles.
And also NBA kicks against the tinted glass enforcement, warns against extortion by the Nigerian police force.
Okay, we have we have NHRC laments 422,942 abductions, sexual violence, others in November.
Wow, that's an alarming number
Yes,
there.
it is.
But Emeka, let's get to tax issues. Anxiety, mistrust, cloud Nigeria's tax reform promises and benefits. Speak to us. There's a growing tension by Nigerians, the impoverished Nigerians, vulnerable Nigerians. Over 120 million Nigerians are impoverished as we speak. Speak to us on why President Bola Tinubu decided at a time like this to impose taxes on Nigerians, despite the fact that we've not seen what he has done with billions that he has borrowed from external forces.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to correct the idea that tax is an evil thing. Tax is a necessary thing. In every nation, tax is needed. You need tax revenues to run the economy and to run it efficiently. But you must do it in such a way that, the people feel the impact of the taxes they pay. And if you look at it, for some time, VAT, value added tax, which is another name for sales tax, was actually running the economy during COVID. During COVID in 2020, for some months, especially during the lockdown when nobody was selling oil across the world. It was VAT. It was VAT that was running the Nigerian economy, So what you need to do is this. Nigerians are heavy consumers. Encourage consumption, increase consumption. Then through sales tax, you will get as much as you want. Then when you're dealing with the companies, know that, one, you have not reduced interest rates. You just announced that inflation rate went down to 14% in November. But interest rates still remain at the same level. It is an incongruity. The sad thing about this Tinubu administration is they have lofty ideas, they have good ideas, but their selfishness, the selfishness from Tinubu down, is not allowing their policies to take root. What am I talking about? Why are you still keeping interest rates unmoved? You still keep the NPR at 27.5%, the level at which banks, can borrow. It doesn't make sense. I'm talking about the 27.5% CRR. It doesn't make sense at all. Why? Because many of your friends have invested in treasury bills. So from 17.5%, it went down to 15%. So if you reduce interest rates, now, if you reduce interest rates to about 15% or 10%, your friends will lose money. It is not a right way to run a country. This is not a family meeting. It's about the economy. If you bring down interest rates, definitely there will be more money for people to borrow. One. Two, governments should stop borrowing. There should be a lien on borrowing. There should be a cap on borrowing, such that, because what is happening in the domestic market is that governments are approaching banks for loans for all kinds of things. A minister, the former minister of women affairs, said she borrowed 40 million to provide sanitary pads for young girls. Where are the sanitary pads? They also borrow some money for one function or party. Those things are ridiculous. So that is why you have this mistrust, trailing the tax. Because another thing is that the chairman of the Presidential Tax Implementation Committee, Taiwo Yedele, this was somebody who was kicking against excessive taxation. Now he has turned full circle. And he has been talking too much. I think the guy, I said that the president should just, tell the guy, thank you, bye-bye. The act has been passed. The president has signed it. Why is Taiwo Yedele going about confusing people? Saying all manner of things. The Joint Tax Board had to come and clarify that there will be no restrictions on people's acts. He's just talking too much. He's not the governor of the central bank. He's not the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service. Taiwo Yedele should go and sit down somewhere. He should shut up. I'm saying it openly. He should just shut up. He's causing so much confusion. He should allow the CBN and the FIRS to issue consequential directives. That is what happens. You don't allow a loose cannon just be talking anyhow, say one thing in the morning, come back on social media to say another thing. I mean, you don't allow such. But it's sad that Tinubu, in his own funny way of running things, is allowing this kind of thing. They are now saying that from January, that nuisance, what we call nuisance taxes, those the money, all these street louds and all that collect, that you are now telling them to stop collecting it, that police should stop collecting money at checkpoints and all that. You just ridicule yourself because it's not possible. It's not possible when there is no systemic change. So that is the reason why you see all of these things happening. People don't know, for instance, that when you are selling anything, you must make provision for payment of VAT. Yeah. You ought to collect VAT and declare same. If you have a business, a registered business, you have a tax identification number. You should, part of your sale, part of the cost of that item, you should put VAT into it so that when you collect it, you remove the tax and pay to government. You will not have any problem. The rest of the money, you can remove your cost price, remove all that, but just make sure that VAT is paid to government. If it's consulting services, just pay the 10% withholding tax to government. Keep your businesses within certain threshold. But the problem is poor financial literacy. Nigerians don't know, for instance, if you get a windfall, you can channel it to treasury bills. You can channel it to federal government bonds. You can channel it to mutual funds. So in such a way, you play around all these things. Yeah. Now that's tax avoidance, not tax evasion. And there's no crime in tax avoidance. But when you don't have literacy, you just think that, okay, if you sell an item and you make 10,000, that the whole money is yours. No, you have to factor in VAT, which is 7.5%. When you factor that in, then you pay it. If you have your TIN, you just go on Tax Pro, which is the FIRS payment portal for taxes. You just go there and you pay. When you pay before the 21st of every month, once you pay it, nobody is going to disturb you. And what's some financial literacy. That is what matters. Thank you.
Okay, so now what exactly will change for the average Nigerian taxpayer? Let's be practical about this.
Well, what will change is that we will now get used to paying taxes as a way of our everyday life, one way or the other. So when you're making a transfer, you now have to tag it. So it's better to go and read up the penalties and the reliefs in the tax law. But I still believe that, government may either suspend implementation, the take-off date, or maybe tweak some of it, because people are already threatening to go to court.
Yeah.
You cannot leave VAT at 7.5%. And then you are still leaving interest rate high. What many developed countries do is that the tax rate is usually higher than borrowing rate. So borrowing rate is a single digit thing. Tax is usually double digit. So you find in some countries, they can charge you as much as 50% of tax on certain items. But interest rate on loans is around maybe 9%. In fact, some countries, 4%, 5%. So what do? They build a credit economy so that it will be easy to ensure consumption. The Arab countries, especially UAE, I think maybe Saudi Arabia, they don't have a VAT. They don't have certain taxes. But there's a way by which they fund the economy, in such a way that, look, everybody feels the impact of government's actions. Now, the subsidy they removed, where did the money go? State governments got more money. The federal government got more money. Where did the money go? They went into fancy projects, such that you look at it now. They've had to now move 70% of the capital budget for 2025 to 2026. So what it means is that the Tinubu administration is now running 5 budgets. They came in May 29, 2023. They brought a supplementary budget. They inherited the Buhari's budget of 2023. They had a supplementary budget where Tinubu bought cars for his wife, who does not have a constitutional role. They have the 2024 budget. Then you now had a 2025 budget. Now you have a 2026 budget. All the budgets are running simultaneously because they've not been able to come up to 30%. The same problem that has been happening for years, government being unable to meet up to 30% budget performance. Year in, year out, every administration in this country, you cannot meet up to 30% budget performance, which is very bad. So when they read all those fantastic figures and all that, they borrow. And when they borrow a lot, they use borrowing, when they budget all those fantastic figures, they leave a deficit. And then they borrow to cover the deficit. But you see, like Peter Obi, of the Labour Party says that you cannot borrow your way to prosperity. And that's the simple thing. But these people are just not interested. Anyhow, just do it. I'm here. Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I think the connection is having a little bit of glitch there. But Emeka was speaking to the issue of borrowing, stating the fact that you can't borrow yourself to prosperity. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we have a president who governs the country like he is running his own family. And little wonder lots of things are going on, and no one can at least checkmate him, because the ideal, the legislature are supposedly the arm of government that should checkmate the executive, right? Allow them see things from a particular vantage point and perspective. But today the legislature are singing on your mandate we shall stand. The judiciary, who should equally judge whatever goes wrong, are equally singing on your mandate we shall stand. Now everybody is plugging to the center of the APC, which makes it difficult for things to go well. And little wonder, even when Nigerians are crying that this tax thing, how can you tax us when we don't even see light? There's no electricity. People pay band A, there's no electricity. So it doesn't make any sense.
Seriously, it doesn't, because I was in a conversation with a friend and she was like, Kenny, how do we even start this new life of paying tax? First of all, I told her that okay, other countries, international countries, they do pay tax, right? So now the government imposing or implementing this tax reform, it's a new lifestyle for us, and which we would all adapt to. But then before we adapt to it, I feel that there will still be conversations around it from people. I won't even be surprised if people even tend to protest about it, because I mean, it's just like you getting used to something new entirely that you're not even aware about, but you just hear about it.
Like the subsidy,
right?
you know, Nigerians were used to subsidy of fuel. You know, we used to buy fuel for 190, 200 naira. Suddenly, President Bola Tinubu came, equally running Nigeria like it was his family, and increased fuel from 200 to 1,000 naira.
But then again, Henry, about this tax, if I really want to, like this tax, if it's going to be really, really beneficial for us, it is when we start seeing results of basic amenities, of infrastructure, of good roads. When you go to the hospital, you don't even need to even have any issues with the doctor or the nurses. You just get attended to easily. I mean, everyone will be willing. No complaint from anyone. We'll be willing to pay the tax.
No, Nigerians are never scared of paying bills. We're never
scared of paying that. But when we see this result, we will want to do it with joy and with, with free will, right? So if I'm employing the government, if only we can see, okay, you've told us to pay the tax. Are you ready to put this tax into implementation? What we want, or what we're asking for is result. We don't want to have any issues. So now telling us to pay tax, it's our right. Yes, it's it's a normal thing as a citizen of Nigeria. But then we want to see result of our tax.
All right, Emeka, are you there?
Yeah, I've been saying hello. Can you
I'd
hear
love
me?
to know if Emeka is there. Emeka, can you hear us?
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, so I think we have to just leave it at this particular point.
Yeah.
Hopefully, by the time we get to our main conversation for today, Emeka will be here to take us on that. That is when we return. Tinubu NLC holds a midnight talks as a nationwide protest looms. That in the beat is still Enterprise Morning.
We'll be right back.
I heard some people shouting some minutes ago. Hello?
Thank you so very much for being back, and if you just joined us, this is still Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's head straight to our conversation for today. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Tuesday night held a closed-door meeting with leaders of the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, in an effort to persuade Organised Labour to shelve its planned nationwide protest over the worsening security situation in the country. Speaking to journalists after the meeting, NLC President Comrade Joe Ajaero described the engagement as a consultation rather than a conclusive negotiation, noting that Labour leaders would first brief their internal organs before taking any decision.
Very true. He said the Congress would reconvene to deliberate on the president's submissions and announce its position afterward, stressing that decisions within the NLC are collective. Also present at the meeting were Imo State Governor and Chairman of the APC Governors Forum, Senator Hope Uzodinma, and the Minister of State for Labor in Kiruka, Onye J. Ocha, who both emphasized dialogue as the preferred path to resolving the impasse.
All right, so let's get talking. We have Emeka Madunagu. Thank you so very much, Emeka, for being back. We truly do appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
All right. So, Emeka, let's get talking on labor. And as someone said, just before we got on the show today, someone said that NLC today is a cut and join. We do not know if we should manage it the way it is or should manage the cut and join nature of the NLC, a dog that barks that never bites. Do you think NLC makes any meaning any longer to the Nigerian perception?
Unfortunately, no, NLC doesn't. And I think they box themselves into a corner. I mean, the whole thing is farcical, it's a farcical joke. Because, okay, today is the birthday of the NLC President, Comrade Joe Ajaero. So I was wondering, how do you are planning a protest on your birthday. I mean, is it a kind of birthday march or something? I don't understand. So, and you said you hold a protest against insecurity. It's not just about holding a protest. It's also about the fact that you should engage the government. You should engage the National Assembly. Because, I mean, we have apparatus of state. We have security equipment that is used. We have laws like the Cybercrime Act that have been used against critics of ordinary individuals in the country. You can use that, but you cannot use the same Cybercrime Act to track terrorists. And you heard the rubbish talk from some officials in this government. Look at the Minister of Digital Communication, Bosun Tijani, talking around nonsense. That trying to locate bandits has been difficult because they bounce their calls off. In fact, it's just the same line with what the former Minister of Defense said, that some forests, that there are some forests you cannot bomb in Nigeria. I mean, what sort of rubbish? What it shows is that these people are getting bad advice, even up to the president. Up to the president. I mean, that's what it shows. The president, some time ago, put a 15% tax on imported fuel. He was giving the impression that, local production had, risen to the level that we could depend on local production. We didn't need imports. But at the end of the day, what did we have? He was now informed that that we still need imports in order to bridge supply. So who is not telling the truth? Who is lying? So people are now saying that it's because the friends of the president are the ones importing fuel. That's why, importing petroleum products, that's why they had to remove that 15% tax. But all of these things don't add up. The point is this: if you have you are able to go and bomb coupists in Benin Republic, and then you are unable to pursue terrorists, you're unable to deal with terrorists, then something tells me that those in government are the ones behind terrorism in Nigeria. Something tells me that influential people in power are actually the sponsors of terrorists. Because, I mean, how were you able to respond to the coup in Benin Republic so quickly? But people are being kidnapped with ease across the country. It doesn't add up. Excuse me, something is just not adding up. But to me, I think the NLC should transcend, beyond just a street protest. Because everything comes down to street protest. And you see the rights of workers are being abused serially. But everything, you bring it down to protest. I think they need to, scale their engagement. Their engagement should now be intellectually driven. The engagement, should be nuanced, should be contextualized in such a way that it will be easy for them to make impact. But when everything is just about gather people, hold protests and all that, then you lose the power. You lose your influence. And that's unfortunately what is happening to NLC. Thank you.
All right. So now what does this meeting, signal about the government handling insecurity in Nigeria?
They just called the NLC. One, NLC should have held a conference, a summit, a national summit on insecurity to get views of stakeholders. And then they should have invited government. Now, at such a summit, you put things together. You put things together. It should not be a summit for chewing cola and sweets and all that. No, it should be all taking tea breaks and some people putting money in their pockets. It should have been a serious engagement. A serious engagement. You have some former labor leaders in the National Assembly. Why are they not pursuing the interests of workers? Or did they go to the National Assembly and just throw away their antecedents? So it is very important for NLC to put things right. Such a meeting where they were called, they now said they will engage stakeholders. What nonsense. That's baloney. That's what you should have done. But you had to go to the presidential villa to be told to engage further. It shows that NLC, sadly, is lacking serious intellectual content. Without apologies to anybody, NLC is just being driven by, emotions. They're investing too much emotions into very simple matters, issues that can be easily resolved. And that is why they are not making any impact. They have just kept everything at the level of protest. No. Workers' rights are being abridged. Is that not insecurity? Workers are being owed in many states. Is that not insecurity? Pensioners are not being paid. Is that not part of insecurity? 17 states in Nigeria today have not signed up to the compulsory pension scheme. The compulsory pension scheme that was launched in 2004 and amended in 2014. They've not signed up to it. They are still using the derived benefits scheme for the direct benefit scheme for pensioners, and they are owing pensions. Is that not part of insecurity? Insecurity basically rests on socioeconomic distortions, socioeconomic dislocations. When people don't have jobs, even those working don't get their salaries on time, or they are underpaid, or there's a misalignment. In their career objectives, and then you find that they cannot put in their best. They cannot put in, so much effort, so much intellectual rigor into what they do. That fuels insecurity. That's why you find among these terrorists, wherever in the country, you have graduates, you have educated people among these guys, because people come out of school, they finish service, they don't get jobs. What do you want them to do? You tell them to create jobs. Or they go to the bank to get a loan. They are told to go and bring their great-grandfather's birth certificate. So when you do all these things, these things fuel insecurity. So it's not just about racked out bandits kidnapping people or invading churches or shooting people in mosques or things like that. It goes beyond that. It goes to the root of the socio-economic dislocations in this country, 70% of which fuels crime. Crime in this country is fueled, 70% of crime in this country is fueled by socio-economic factors. The economy is still being looted. The treasury is still being looted. Politicians are looting the treasury mindlessly. It tells you that student school fees in a foreign country amounting to about 7.3 billion are being paid by educational trust, that his father left money, this and this, that. Come on, we're just making a joke of ourselves. So we've turned insecurity now to a buzzword rather than a serious national challenge that should be approached with serious, adequate intellectual rigor. And that is the problem NLC has. They just invest emotion. We're going to hold protests. So after the protest, what next? What next? What next? Politicians will just meet your people. Governors will just come out, or they will send some lowly official. They'll tell you, okay, government has heard your agitation. Okay, they collect a letter from your representative. Then they tell you they are looking into it. What happens next? Those are the things that need to be dealt with. Those are the things that need to be dealt with. You have a workers' bill of rights. Does NLC still remember it has a workers' bill of rights? Does NLC remember that there are people working in factories owned by Asians that are being treated badly? What are they being paid? Even below the minimum wage. Does NLC pretend not to know that security men get men? of many big men, companies are still being paid at 30,000. That school teachers are being paid 15,000, 20,000. In many schools in Nigeria, below the minimum wage. Is that not a crime? Why is NLC not dealing with that? Those things fuel insecurity because when people are frustrated, they go into crime. You have certain minerals being expropriated. People are being used to get those solid minerals. As slaves. We're just looking at the fact that these solid minerals are being stolen and taken away. How about the people being used on this site, being exposed to radiation, being exposed to the effects of those solid minerals? What happens to their health? We're not looking at that. Look at what happened in Ogijo, Ikorodu recently, where people were recycling batteries, and it was affecting the local community. Didn't NLT hear about it? What did they say? Did they come out? They kept quiet until even foreigners started making documentaries about how it was affecting the health of, before the government was forced to go and shut down those factories. Where was NLC?
But Emeka, if I might interject, Emeka, sorry, if I might interject at this point, do you think we should blame it on the leadership of the party and not of the pressure group, that's the NLC, and not just the pressure group itself? Because I remember during the days of Adams Oshomole, he had eye for details. You know, he knew that the devil was in the detail, and he followed through on some of those things, and that's why he is iconic, even if he has changed now from the Adams Oshomole we used to know. Do you think that Joe Ajaero is more like a lukewarm person that does not understand what he is doing at this particular point?
All of them are the same. Adams Oshomole achieved nothing. He was just leading Nigerians on a wild goose chase. He's my friend, yes, but he was just leading Nigerians on a wild goose chase, just coming out for protest. There was a point, if NLC under Adams Oshomole had approached these issues, you know, again, permit me to bring it, you know, to the intellectual arena, because that's the arena where I know about, you know, confronting and distilling ideas. You know, I don't know any other way, you know, about confronting issues. So if they had brought it to the intellectual arena and said, look, Obasanjo, the time has come for us now to get refineries, to sell these state-owned refineries, to get private refineries into this business. Remember in 1998, Abacha, then General Sani Abacha, was it 97? He issued licenses. He issued licenses to private companies for, you know, for, you know, in the downstream sector of the oil industry. What happened to those licenses? You remember in the military era, licenses has been issued for oil exploration. What happened to those licenses? So what we are just talking about is that it's not just about street protests. Even the lacks technical competence to handle a lot of these issues. That's why you see a company like Dangote Refinery going to bring down thousands of Indians into the downstream sector of it, because we lack the technical expertise. How many Nigerians are graduates of petroleum engineering? How many? The entry requirements are so stringent, so we shoot ourselves in the foot. We make it difficult for people to get into the university. Yeah. Then at the end of the day, we wonder why graduates why people are going to read religion, why people are going to read secretariat and certain courses. We're telling them that AI will replace those jobs. You are not looking at the additional processes. How you make it difficult for people to get into courses that will build your nation, that will build the economy. We're not looking at the fact that we should encourage people to take skills, welding, plumbing, masonry, carpentry, a lot of these skills, technical skills, steel fabrication and all that, computer engineering and all that. We are not looking at how to build a productive workforce base, and then we turn around because it's easy to go and import expatriates to fill our technical deficits. So when you take all these things, by the time you scale all these things, you just see that we are the ones hurting ourselves. That's the truth. So when you look at insecurity, how people are able to, people are able to illegally mine resources from this country. Look at chromium. An ounce of chromium is $320,000. How can people do it? Who are those clearing they are said Saudi legal miners are said to be using, they have airstrips. They fly these things out. How come? Why? I mean, NLC has people in the security services. Their members are in the aviation circles. Why has NLC not exerted pressure on government? Go and bomb these airstrips and destroy these airstrips. Arrest the people behind all these things. But you just come and do. No, we must go beyond that. Comrade Hassan, someone another did that in the 70s. You know, this Baba from Kwara, you know, I don't remember his name, who was active in the colonial era. You know, I mean, he did well. He mobilized the first general strike in Nigeria in 1945.
Yeah.
Between 1945 and now, so many years have passed. We ought to have by now scaled our engagement as stakeholders in this economy. That is the thing. We should not just be talking and talking and talking. There must be actionable points. And NLC should actually engage its various directorates to say, listen, let's engage stakeholders at different levels. Let's engage the National Assembly. Let's engage the various committees of National Assembly. Let's hold meetings with them. What can we do, for instance? You know, everything must not be about degree. In the technical field, you don't have, you don't have to wait till you get a degree. How can we provide more technical expertise in all of these areas so that we remove a lot of our young people from the street? We move them into productive ventures. Okay. So that even if you have an OND, you can get into the oil and gas industry. You can get into solid minerals. You can get into several areas. With that, even in the security architecture, everything we are using, weapons and all that, are imported. What happened to the Daikon Industries, Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria, Kaduna? What has happened to it? We are still importing weapons. Even little things as tear gas we import. We import little things. Even boots that policemen wear, we import them. Are we not ashamed? Why is NLC not engaging security service to say, okay, police, you have a police bank, you have a police microfinance bank. Why not revive the police garment production factories? Why not restore your uniforms? You can be making garments for companies, for various establishments. Boots, you can make boots locally in Nigeria. You can do a lot of these things and save foreign exchange. Then with that, you get thousands of Nigerians employed. Look at what the governor of Abia State just did. Alex Oti. He bought back Star Paper Mill from Amcon. Now he's trying to get another company, you know, Afro Beverage from Amcon. Companies died because they were owing a lot of money. Now he has invested Abia State money in getting them back. Now, when he takes these companies to the stock market and then rallies people around to say, okay, come and buy shares in this company, maybe raising commercial papers. Through commercial papers, maybe they'll raise like 100 billion or so. Revive Star Paper Mill. Get thousands of Nigerians employed. And then spin out value chains. You remove people from crime. You remove people from the streets. When you remove people from the streets, I tell you what, you will gradually be killing crime.
Very well.
Those are the things I think NLC should avert its attention to. Look for those low-hanging fruits. Go and meet with the governor of Abia State to say, how can we work with you to get Star Paper Mill back on track? Okay. How can we work with you in this? Not just wait. Any small thing, you go and protest. Any small. Does NLC know that Dangote reduced price of petrol, PMS, dramatically after people had invested billions in byproducts from him? Now a lot of those dealers are losing billions of naira. NLC, didn't they know about it? Didn't they hear about it? So what we're talking about is we should remove emotionalism from our engagements, our public engagement. Let us deal with the issues that matter. That is it. Security is everyone's business. Security is everyone's business, not just the government's business. And that way, honestly, we will make good success. Thank you.
Very, very well said, Emeka. You actually, nailed it the way it should be, and that cannot be better said. Sometimes I wish people like you, should be with the NLC to help them, navigate this treacherous road and the waters they found themselves. And starting with our president, how come FIRS is engaging a French company to help us to collect tax and consult for us and all that? So all of this starts from what we're talking about, but we have to leave it for now. There's so much to talk about, really, but for the want of time, we have to just end it. Thank you so very much, Emeka. We truly do appreciate you more than. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, beautiful. So that's just about the time we have, like I did say, and we have to leave it at this point. But you can, of course, continue your conversation when you drop your comments. When you visit us, that is at Enterprise at TV7. My name is Henry Igwebike.
And my name is Kende Boda.
Have yourself a blessed day. Bye-bye.
Bye.